Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's Thursday. It's the 17th. I have to look. Yeah, it is the 17th of August, 2023. My name is CareyHolzman, and thanks so much for tuning in. Yesterday, we were reviewing a couple of M.2 drives from a company called MoveSpeed. And when we opened one of the boxes and placed the M.2 drive into the HP Mini PC, it showed it was already partitioned and formatted, even though the box was sealed. And the partition size was the same size and format as the drive we had just removed. So that's weird. I wonder how it could have been partitioned and formatted. Well, after the broadcast, one of the things that I do before I put the drives back up on a shelf is I erase the partition format by using the diskpart command, using the clean command. That removes any partition and format, putting the drive back in the condition it was brand new in the box. So when I took the bigger drive out and put the smaller drive in, suddenly the smaller drive reported it was the bigger drive size, which it wasn't doing before. So clearly that's an HP mini computer ghosting issue. It's doing something strange, and I will look into that in a future video. It's not important because how often do you switch drives? But there's something happening there very odd. The good news is these were both brand new and there was no problem with them. And I just wanted to give you any ease of mind with regards to, look, if you take a brand new drive, open it up and see it's already partitioned and formatted, that's cause for concern. And in this case, it was false reporting coming from the HP Mini PC. And that is a modern HP Mini PC. And I'm wondering if it's some kind of security it's got. So I'll look into the BIOS and look into that, but it's not a big deal. The good news is there's absolutely nothing wrong with these drives. They were not partitioned or formatted. All right. So that's the joy we have when dealing with live videos. And that, for some reason, the MoveSpeed products were difficult because when I initially started to film it on Tuesday, the streaming computer froze up, turned out to be a bad stick of RAM. So I reshot the video yesterday on Wednesday, and then we had that weird problem, which turns out to be something weird with the BIOS on that HP Mini PC that, again, never seen anything like it before. So that's your final update on the MoveSpeed products. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to the latest Minisforum release. They have a series. They have named after the planets, depending on what the computer is designed for. If it's for gaming, if it's for office. So the Venus series are, generally speaking, higher performance, upper mid-range or lower high-range computers. So this computer is actually quite a little powerhouse, and I can't believe how cheap. I know I'm going to sound like a salesman on this, but follow the logic. And you let me know if you disagree, but let me pull up the website for the computer we're going to review today so I can sort of give you a heads up of what to expect for how much money. I can tell you by looking at the specs alone, if you ignore the price, just come up with a price in your own head, I suspect you're going to come up probably at least $200 higher than what the price they're asking for this is. So let me go over to the Minisforum website. This is a brand new model. As far as I know, it's not available on Amazon yet. And let me share the screen with you. Window capture. Okay, here we go. Check this out. The Minisforum UN1265. Not much to look at, right? It's a silver box. Great. Not offensive, not outlandish or gaudy. It's just unassuming, and you'd never know by looking at it. But inside of this computer, it contains an Intel Core i7-12650H CPU. It's basically, they're all laptop components in these mini PCs. So an Intel i7 12th gen laptop processor is not as powerful or consume as much power as the desktop version, just so we're clear on that. Not an equal comparison to compare a desktop processor to a mobile processor. They do have this available, or will have it soon, in some other color they're calling magical blue. That looks green to me, but okay. If you'd like something to stand out a little more, there you go. I don't even know how to say this word. Heterogeneous. I don't know that word. Light and portable. Okay, and the interfaces. It's got HDMI, DisplayPort, USB Type-C, and the USB Type-C supports power delivery, which means you could plug your phone in and charge it. You could power the, like when I have that portable monitor, it'll provide power and the display to that portable monitor for a total of 3 display outputs at the same time. Now, with regards to the processor, this is a 7th gen, this is a Core i7 12th gen processor that has 10 cores. That's 16 threads. Basically, you've got 6 performance cores, and you have 4 efficiency cores for a total of 10. And then the performance cores, the 6 performance cores are hyper-threaded. Efficiency cores are never hyper-threaded. So essentially, for each performance core, it looks like you have 2. So you basically have like 12 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores as far as threads go. That gives you a total of 16 threads. The CPU supports AV1 decoding, and that's good for somebody like me doing live streams or any sort of video encoding or decoding. And it's also helpful if you're going to have a home theater PC. It can decode those heavily compressed video files as well as run completely quiet. Very, very quiet. Well, they do show this as being a gaming computer. I guess if you're playing older games or you want to do retro gaming, this will do the retro gaming. All your retro games are going to run fine on your like old retro consoles and stuff like that. Retro console gaming, PlayStation Portable, and I don't know. Yeah, it'll do all that super easy, no problem. As far as AAA titles go, if you're wanting to play modern day AAA titles, this isn't for you. It's not going to play very well. But older AAA titles and anything beyond that, easy peasy, piece of cake. Minisforum uses a special, what they call cold wave technology. And I believe they use liquid metal. It's the thermal material between the heatsink and the CPU. And you'll see they're talking about how quiet the fan is. It's running DDR4. It is not DDR5. DDR4, 3200 speed, in dual channel. And the M.2 drive is a Generation 4, PCIe 4 SSD. So you get those ultra fast, up to 7,400 megabytes per second transfer speeds if you were to put a high performance drive in it, which you could do. Of course, it's very small, and as you can see, it can be hung on the back of a monitor, so you wouldn't even have to see it. Literally take 0 desktop real estate on your desk. The ports, as you can see on the front, we've got a clear CMOS recess button here. We've got a power button. We've got a 3.5 millimeter audio jack that supports headphones, microphones, or headset. 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports up front. Nothing on the sides, but on the back, you've got our barrel style power connector. That's a 19-volt input. We've got HDMI display output, and above that is our USB 3.2 Type-C. That's a ×1 that supports DisplayPort along with data and power delivery. It'll do all 3 things at the same time. We've got a 2.5 gig Ethernet port built in. We've got a DisplayPort output. We've got 2 USB 2.0s, and we have a Kensington lock here. Now, I've talked a lot about Kensington locks. I've got one here to show you. I've never shown you one before, and I'll show you how that works. It does support 4K on 3 monitors at the same time. It is power delivery on that USB Type-C, so it can transfer data and provide smart charging at the same time. In the box, it says we've got a mini PC, a power adapter, power cord, a 6-foot HDMI cable, some mounting screws, and a mount for the Visas if you wanted to mount it on the back of a monitor, or I don't know. You could mount it to the back of anything if you wanted to, the side of a desk or the wall. And there's an instruction manual. Now, here's the thing. This thing is a little rocket ship, and you can buy it without any RAM or storage or operating system for $309. Are you kidding me right now? This is easily a $600 box. Now, what they've sent me is this model. They've sent me the model that they sell pre-configured Windows 11, 16 gigs of RAM. That's going to be represented as 2 sticks of 8 gigs of laptop memory, 3200 speed, 512 gig NVMe SSD, supposed to be Gen 4. And they sell that for only $60 more. So for just $60 more, you get the 16 gigs of RAM and half a terabyte of storage. And of course, they have other configurations if you don't want to do it yourself. There's 32 gigs of RAM with the same size storage, or 32 gigs of RAM with 1 terabyte of storage. And of course, you'll see the price up here change accordingly. Me personally, I would get the bare bone. I'd put 2 sticks of 16 in it for a total of 32. If you want to, you can max it out to 64, but most people aren't going to use more than 32. As for storage, grab one of those Move Speed NVMe drives or the Fangjing 2 terabyte drives. They're very inexpensive. What are they, under $100? They can't be right. Is that right? I think it's right. Very inexpensive. Gen 4, very fast. And then get yourself Windows 11. You can download it legally and for free from Microsoft. You just have to pay to activate it, and you can save money on your activation by buying your product key from VIP CDK deals. We've been working with them now. This October, it'll be 2 years. And 99.9% of anybody that I've heard from that's worked with them has been very happy, many of whom have gone back when they needed more keys. That's how much money you can save and get good customer service. A lot of times when you're buying from, sellers that are selling something really cheap, you get no customer service. That's not the case with VIP CDK deals. So what I would do is I would order this as a bare bones. I get one of the Move Speed 2 terabyte drives, pop it in there. I get 2 sticks of 16 gig for a total of 32. I'd install Windows 11 on it. I would go to VIP CDK deals. Listen very carefully. I would install Windows 11 Pro. That'll cost me nothing to install it. Got a video showing you how to download the source material from Microsoft so you know it's not a pirated or hacked or a virus-infected file. Put a nice official Windows 11 Pro on there for Microsoft. That's not going to cost you anything. Now to activate it, go to VIP CDK deals and buy a Windows 10 Pro product key. Didn't you just say you put Windows 11 Pro on it? You did. But here's the secret. Windows 11 Pro product keys cost more. And Windows 11 Pro is a free upgrade from Windows 10. And I believe, let me think about this for a minute. Windows 7 and Windows 8 product codes will work to activate Windows 10. Windows 10 product codes will activate Windows 11, at least one activation. It ties to the motherboard. Once it's activated, you should never need to use the product code again. And you don't need the operating system that product code is for. So just because you're buying a Windows 10 Pro product key doesn't mean you have to install Windows 10 and upgrade it to Windows 11. That's not how this works. You just need a valid Windows 10 product key. That's it. You put that in as though it were a Windows 11 Pro product key, and Windows 11 Pro will treat it as a Windows 11 Pro product key. You're done. Now that stays tied to your motherboard for the life of the board. You don't need a Microsoft account. Essentially, if you ever had to wipe and reinstall Windows 11 Pro on your box that you followed these steps I've just outlined, you would say, I don't have a product key during install, as you would have the very first time you installed it, just like I always show. And the first time you go check for updates, the Microsoft Windows activation servers are going to say, hey, I remember this motherboard serial number. I've already activated a code to it. it will automatically reassign the product code back into your registry and activate it. You don't have to lift a finger. That's how it'll work for the life of the system. Unless you reuse that product code and you're successful, then you have forfeited this product code activation, and now it's going to be tied to the other machine. And that means this machine may come up as deactivated, or if you ever have to reinstall, putting the original product code back in it again won't work anymore. So if you think you're getting away with something by reusing a product code, it'll come back to bite you on the butt. Almost guaranteed. It's just a matter of time. The product codes for Windows 10 Pro cost about $16 US. You'll get them within minutes after purchasing. I recommend you use PayPal to pay for it. And I haven't covered this topic in a while, so I'm going to cover in a future video how to download and install and activate Windows 11 Pro doing everything I just explained, but I'll make a video just for that. And then I'll make a video showing how you can download and install Office 2016, which is the last version of a perpetual license of Microsoft Office that does not require a Microsoft account to activate. Now, Microsoft Office 2016 and 2019 expire the same day Windows 10 does, on October 14th, 2025. So you still have a couple of years. After that, no more updates. Product will still work, but it's not going to be a safe product the longer you use it. Office 2021 is the latest version of Office that you can buy. That's a perpetual license, but it does require a Microsoft account, and it expires 1 year later in October of 2026. Then what do? Well, it's all Office 365 from there on out. Unless Microsoft changes their mind, it'll be subscription-based only. All right, so that's the information as I have it. I want to say thank you to the folks in our chat room that have already contributed today in Super Chat. So my thanks to Paul O'Brien, who sent an Amazon gift card, and he sent a little note that I wanted to read to you guys. Maybe it'll inspire you. Paul joins us from Ireland, and Paul says, my new PC build, which I built a couple of weeks ago, was running perfectly. I bought the i5-13500 CPU, the ASRock Live Mixer motherboard with Corsair Vengeance, RGB 32 gig, 6200 megahertz RAM. I've got a Thermalright air cooler, and he bought 2 of the 2 terabyte Fengjing S800s. I hope he bought the S880s. They're faster. He bought what he thought was an NZXT H7 Flow, but it was actually, I guess, a Game Midas case in white. He said it's good on airflow, but crap on cable management. He also purchased Windows 10 Pro from my links via Amazon. I don't have any links to Windows 10 Pro from Amazon, but regardless, he used the Windows 10 Pro key to activate the Windows 11 Pro he installed on his new system. It all is working great. So that's a good build, Paul. Coincidentally, tomorrow, Mitch Morrison will be joining me, and we do a live video every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to pretty much build that system, except we're using an H5 Flow NZXT case, no RGB, no RGB RAM. And we're going to use a Corsair Crucial T700 Generation 5 2 terabyte SSD that transfers data supposedly at 12,500 megabytes per second. It's a best bang for the buck build, except for that storage drive. And I don't think you can do better right now than that configuration. So good choice of parts. Raj D also sent an Amazon gift card. He says, I'm watching you from the UK. Thank you for your education. That's a $50 Amazon gift card. That is awesome. Thank you, Raj. Of course, a shout out and thank you to our good friend Peter Laycock. We call him Buster. He joins us from Scotland on a regular basis and is very, very generous in his support of the channel, enabling us to make a lot more content. And we'd like to stay away from sponsorship. If there's products I use in my business, of course, I'm going to take a sponsorship from them. There's always some concern about the journalistic integrity of a reviewer, especially if that reviewer is getting paid money to review the product for the manufacturer. There's almost no way possible, almost, to have a YouTube channel larger than mine. When you get up to, let's say, 1 million subscribers, it is virtually impossible in the tech sector to do that without sponsorship. And when you're taking on sponsorship, you're taking on tech sponsors for a tech audience. But you're reviewing tech products, and you can see how that can cause a conflict. So what I do is a bit different. I try to be independent as much as possible. If there's a product I already know I'm going to like, I reach out to the company and say, hey, would you work with us so I can get my audience a discount? If they won't give you guys a discount, I don't take the deal. You've got to know that. It's not just about how much money can Carey make. It's got to be a win-win-win. The manufacturer has to have an incentive where they're making sales and acquiring new customers. There is something called customer acquisition cost. We have a highly engaged and highly targeted audience here that's quite valuable to manufacturers looking for you guys. It costs money to find you guys, to even show the advertisement to. 2, I want a deal for you guys to save money. What's the point of me offering anything if you could just go get it at the same price anywhere else? 3, I want to bring more money into the channel in a legitimate way that enables us to continue making more videos more often. It's always going to come back to money, because the more videos I make, the less time I have to earn money outside of making videos. But the rent is still due, and the electric bill is still due, and all the camera equipment and computer equipment, everything else that I need to make videos needs to be replaced every couple of years. It's time to get a new camera, time to get new this, new that, new microphones, new batteries. And again, regular life, gas for the car, registration, insurance, medical, all that stuff. It's a hard thing to draw from YouTube. The way a lot of content creators will make money is through offering merchandise. And I've been very cautious about what merchandise I offer. I don't want to offer just the generic thing everybody else does. It's lazy and unoriginal. I don't think it's quality. Once again, the only things that I endorse are things I use myself or I recommend to my real customers in my real computer repair business, which I've been running over 30 years. Your support helps keep me independent so that I'm not taking money from a manufacturer and then telling you how great their product is. That's not cool. The folks over at Minisforum have been wonderful to work with. They routinely send me machines at no charge, without a contract. It's just a gentleman's agreement that says, you send me the product and I will review the product. In most cases, they are not asking for a product review date. Sometimes they might ask me to hold off and don't show the product too early. But they never say, you've got to air it on August 17th. That's never happened. They never tell me what to say. They might offer some suggestion. Hey, you might want to consider showing this feature or that feature. And I appreciate that. A lot of times those are great ideas. No money changes hands. And I'm free to speak my mind. There's no script. There's no cheat sheet of bullet points. When a company pays me to review their product, a lot of times they'll have bullet points. That's part of the contract that I've got to talk about these things. Be sure you talk about the warranty. Be sure you talk about the material some things that I personally could care less about, they require me to say. And if I don't say it, they won't pay me. I don't want to be in that position. And your support of the channel helps ensure that I don't have to go that way. Because one of two things will happen. As YouTube money continues to deplete, everybody's we're entering into a kind of a tight area financially. Disney's in a bad spot. Everybody's losing money right now. And home mortgage prices are now the highest interest rates are the highest they've ever been for homes in a long time. Everything's got to tighten the belt a little bit. And I totally get it. If you can't support financially, you could certainly support by joining us in our chat room, being a part of our community, and sharing the links on your favorite social media site so as to attract more viewers. I have to have twice as many viewers this year than I needed 2 years ago to make the same amount of money. Isn't that crazy? So the pressure on YouTube is that it's a very hungry monster that needs to be constantly fed. And it's exhausting and it's expensive. And sometimes people think I'm hung up on the money, but they don't understand without the money, there's no channel. And anybody who doesn't understand that has never made YouTube videos on a regular basis. They are time consuming and they are expensive. And it's thanks to you guys that I'm able to make as many videos, that I can dedicate this much time to it versus going outside and drumming up new customers for my day job. I do computer repair and managed service providing. I don't really want any more customers. It's very stressful. So that's how this whole business model works. I try to be as transparent as possible. There's nothing I'm hiding and there's nothing I'm intentionally keeping from you, right? I just want to treat you guys the same way I would want to be treated if I was on the other side of the camera. That's my philosophy. And that's the same way I do reviews. I'm not reviewing things that some little niche part of the YouTube community cares about. That's covered way out of proportion to the number of people that are interested in it. We're not doing that here. We're going to do something different. And if you're looking forward to something different and being able to interact with the host, you've come to the right spot. Thank you, Paul O'Brien, who just contributed €2. He said, yes, he did buy his product key from VIP CDK. I don't know about those Amazon product keys. Amazon's got some strange, fishy third-party sellers. So at least with VIP CDK deals, we know what to get. We know they have a history. We know it's all legal. And we know that the product keys you're getting are legitimate product keys. It's all verifiable. The only people who make claims otherwise never actually bought one and tried it. So be aware of the people shouting the sky is falling. They have no clue what they're talking about. Ask them to prove it. And a Google search is not proof. Somebody writing something on Google is not evidence of something that's true. Actually buy the product key and run your own test on it. And you'll see it's a legitimate retail product key in most cases. And if you have any problems with it, their customer service is there and will take care of you always. You get customer service the first 30 days. Don't buy the product key and then go to use it 6 months from now, and then you have a problem and reach out to customer service. You can, but I'm saying you shouldn't expect it, because 30-day returns is pretty normal across the industry, whether you buy something from Amazon or Best Buy. If you haven't used it in 30 days or you haven't had a problem in 30 days, it looks like you're the one being the scammer. That's what scammers do. Now, I've heard from people that did have issues. They've held on to product keys for a while, and in most cases, they still work fine, no problem. But in a rare occurrence where it didn't work, they reached out to VIP CDK deals, where I would expect VIP CDK deals say, look, this is highly suspicious. 6 months after the purchase for a very inexpensive product, just buy another one. But no, VIP CDK deals took care of them, to my surprise. And I'm delighted to hear that. But it's certainly nothing I'm going to guarantee to you. Don't buy the product keys until you need them, please, so you have that customer service guaranteed. All right, Ben Laird with a £5 contribution. Ben joins us from Scotland. Thank you, Ben. Avery Ramstorff contributing $2. Thank you, Avery. Hello to my friends Douglas Burchell, Lou Greeny, Alan Lindos, David Moore, Les Stevenson and Michael Collis, Steve Mercure and Jason L, Stealth Mode, and Jim KJ3N. Garfield Rupe renews his membership for month number 8. Says, thank you, Uncle Carey, for having an awesome channel. Well, thank you, Garfield. Thank you for being a part of this incredible community. All right. I'm trying to think, did I ever turn this thing on and boot it up? I don't think I did. I think this is still fresh in the box. I think I took it out so we could take a picture of me holding it in the thumbnail that Camera Girl did. I don't think I've ever powered it on. So we've got a couple of little cards here on top. There is the mini PC as shown online. In the box, we've got some foam here. that out, and then there's a little cardboard lid. Oh yeah, I never turned this on because I can see the power supply is still in the factory package. There's our HDMI cable, 6-foot standard HDMI cable. There's our standard PC style power cord. I always appreciate when they use a standard, the three-prong connector that's found on the back of power supplies at most desktops. And there's our VESA mount and mounting screws for the VESA mount. That's it. That's all that's in the box. Power supply is 120 watts. This thing is probably going to run a little over 10 watts when it's idle. And if you push it really hard, it may draw from the wall no more than 80 watts, I would guess. So the power supply is overkill. That's good because that means the power supply won't get as hot because it's not working as hard. And if you live in a country where electricity is expensive, you know it's pretty minimal on the energy usage, especially for the amount of power you're getting in reach. Obviously, if you need something lower power, don't expect it to run as fast. All right, you got one goes with the other. So let's see, we have our power supply. Oh, you know what? Let's open it up first. Let's do that. Let's see what's inside of this thing. Now, the folks over at Minisforum, they like to cover up the screws with rubber feet, and it drives me crazy. It's all well and good when you only have to do it once, but if you're opening this thing up multiple times over the years, eventually these rubber feet are not going to stick anymore. I wish there was a hole in the center of the rubber foot so that we could easily access the screw. When the machine is new and the rubber feet, the sticky tape is still relatively fresh, it should peel off and re-stick without a problem. So it's not an issue to be concerned about right away. There are no spare feet. There's no spare sticky pads. So if you're unfortunate and you go to pull a foot off and the sticky pad sticks to the base of the computer, well, it's time for you to get some Gorilla Glue or hot melt glue gun, something like that. So I'm just using my thumb to pull up on these rubber feet. No special tools are needed, just strong thumb strength. Okay, so these two went to the front of the unit. Sometimes they're shaped differently, the rubber feet. I don't think these are. I think they're all the same. And I make a little pattern here on the desk of which corner they came, just in case. I think they're all the same. These are coming off nice and clean. And they're remaining sticky, so they should go back on without a problem and stay on. All right, there's our 4 rubber feet removed. Let me grab my close-up camera. We'll move that over so you can get a different top-down view of me opening it up. Let's see, I need an HDMI cable to plug in, like so. Probably helps if I'm not standing on it while I'm trying to plug it in. There it is. And then I'm going to turn this camera on. So I'm going to estimate where we need. There. Yes. And let's try close-up camera. What? Oh man, I got to lean all the way forward like that. It's a little easier. All right, so these holes, there's a screw down there, and they're pretty narrow, so we're going to need a narrow driver. Going to be a regular Phillips head, so I'll just use this precision driver kit from Harbor Freight Tools. I think Nick Pulverman sent this to me many years ago. Never really needed it until recently. All these mini PCs now are starting to change the types of tools that I need to use on a regular basis. That screwdriver feels a little too narrow. You get one that's a little bit wider. Let's see if this one's going to be. Oh, much better. Okay. 1, 2. These are all the same screw. It doesn't matter which hole you put them back in. All the same. Now you'll notice there's an arrow that indicates when we're going to put this back on that this is going towards the front. There's a little cutout right there. I don't know how well the camera can pick that up. That's intended for you to stick something, a flat blade in there, guitar pick or a spudging tool to lift that out. So I have this iFixit spudging tool here, and we should be able to put it right into that slot and lift up. Should just pull straight up. As you can see, it's going to come down and around like this. It should be a straight. That's a little bit tricky. Problem is this appears to be in a bit of a groove in the silver here. And these I/O ports, they stick inside of the holes about 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeters. And they're preventing me from lifting this up. So essentially, you might need to get something in here to pry it away from these I/O ports so that they're not sticking through the holes. Yeah, that's a little more difficult than it should be, isn't it? So. If I break it, we'll blame Nick Poverman if I break it. All right, once you get clear of those little ports, then it should just easily come right off. And you'll see the Wi-Fi antennas are attached to the lid, and that's what this piece is here. And it even says very, very closely in fine print that that's the range, the frequency range of this antenna. There's an antenna on each side. Inside, you'll see we've got our 2 sticks of RAM. These are from ADATA. This right here, this is a SATA connection for a 2.5-inch drive that's already connected down on the board, and it's neat that it just snuggles right in there to keep it secured if you're not using it. In the lid, we've got these ports, posts with holes. And what just happened right there is if you look, the soldering point that holds that wire onto this base, just because I'm moving this around without disconnecting it, that wire's awfully stiff. And it's just an antenna, and it doesn't take much to accidentally pull these off or to secure them back down. As long as it stays soldered there, we're good. This extra piece there is really just there for just an added ground and more safety to keep the wire from breaking. So it did what it's supposed to do, but looking in here, we've got our NVMe drive right here, Gen 4. We've got our Wi-Fi. This is Wi-Fi 6, isn't it? Obviously, they're very easy to replace this if you wanted to upgrade it to Wi-Fi 7 when that becomes available, or something later beyond that. Our RAM, made by ADATA, is 2 sticks of 8 gig, 3200 speed. And this is our CMOS battery right here. That's all she wrote. Now, I should be able to put this all back together. As long as the wire stays soldered on there, It could use a little bit of glue. Nothing a hot melt glue gun can't fix in about 3 seconds. But do be aware of that if you're going to open these up. Most of these mini PCs will have Wi-Fi antennas on one of the removable panels. And if you pull on it too hard when you're taking it off, you'll just rip those wires clean off of their solder points. And if you're handy with a soldering iron, it's super easy to fix. However, if you're not handy with a soldering iron, you're in for a bad day. Obviously, I don't need this to tell me when it's the front, when very obviously there's only one way that this is going to go back on because of the dip right here that slides into the groove. So let me put the screws back in it before I lose those, because, you know, that happens. And wait till you see how fast this little guy is. At the $300 price point, I would expect something more along the lines of an i5. The fact that you're getting a 12th gen i7 at that price, well, look around, look online, look what the other manufacturers are offering that's comparable to this and compare their pricing. Stick our rubber feet back on. Now, I wanted to talk to you about the Kensington lock. What that's for is a steel braided cable that you can secure to something like, you know, like in an office, something heavy like a desk. And you can buy these Kensington lock cables for under $10. And it doesn't have to be made by Kensington. I think this one is actually a Kensington. It is. This I picked up on eBay, I think, for $8. Claimed it was refurbished, but sure as heck looks new to me. If we get some scissors and open it up. So the way this cable works, there's a nylon zip tie on it. This is a steel braided cable that's coated with a plastic what would I call this? You wouldn't want the steel cable just being out because it could cut into your skin, it could rust, could need a tetanus shot. So they've more or less insulated it with this rubberized plastic, whatever this is. And this end that's looped, that's something you could put around a table leg, or you could run this cable. Let's see, let's take this off. Say there was something big and heavy in your office, but there was no way you're going to get this around, you know, underneath of it, or say the post that you want to attach this to is way wider than that. Then just take the other end of this cable, wrap it around the thing you want to secure it to, and run it through like that. And now you've got a big loop here that you can create. It's not rocket science. Then take this end right here, and when we turn the key, you see it turns that little T-bar right there. So that T-bar fits right into that hole, and we turn the key. That is permanently attached. That's not just attached to the plastic, because what good would that be? That's connected inside to metal, to the metal frame around it. So this isn't going anywhere. And you'll see it's on a hinge, and that prevents somebody from stealing it. That's how that works. These are very easy to lockpick. This is not secure in the sense that somebody who knows how to pick locks would have any difficulty opening this. This is to prevent simple theft. And most theft is simple theft. If theft requires actual work, Well, most thieves don't want to do actual work. That's why they're lazy thieves. Most thieves are lazy. So all you have to do is give them a deterrent, and that's enough to turn them off. They'll look for something easier to steal in most cases. And there's a little documentation here that more or less describes in writing what I've just shown you. You do get 2 keys, as you do with most locks. And they do show that you could loop it. Here they show it looped around the leg of a desk. Or you can actually just use the loop itself around something that's narrow enough. Either way. They're very inexpensive, and if you're worried about these little computers walking off, like in a public building, well, it's very inexpensive to secure them. They're secured. They're not going anywhere. Don't want to lose the key. Okay. All right, let's go back over to camera 1. There we go. And we'll turn this camera off. And I'm going to step over here and move that camera aside. Now it's in our shot. It was the shot, and now it's in the shot. Yeah, ain't modern technology great? Okay. Move this and this so I have more space on my desk. All right, should we fire it up for the first time? Give it power supply, HDMI cable. I don't want to plug it into the network yet because I haven't set up Windows. If it detects a network when we're setting up Windows for the first time, it'll force us to create an online Microsoft account. I don't use Microsoft Online accounts, nor would I want to if I'm selling a computer to a customer. I don't want my login to be in the history or cache. Very unprofessional to do. We need a keyboard and a mouse. It's our dongle. I think I'm going to put the dongle on the USB 2.0 port so we can free up those USB 3.0 ports for faster devices. And then I just have to turn these on. These have rechargeable batteries, and they both use the same single wireless dongle. And then, as I mentioned, this uses a standard PC power cord, which I have one right here, so I don't have to use the one they've included. I can keep that one folded neatly in the box. That's it. We're all hooked up. We're ready for our first power on. Let me turn on the HDMI input, and let me put myself in a corner here. Right about there should be good. And on. Now there is no hard drive activity light. We only have a power light that's turned blue. And then of course we have our power on self-test screen or a post screen. And when this fires up, it should take us through the initial setup of Windows 11, which came pre-installed. So this is a plug and play as it's purchased. If you buy it bare bones, you'll have to put RAM, storage, and an operating system on it. For a few extra bucks, you can get the RAM and storage, which aren't going to be the best, but they're going to be good. They're not going to be terrible. They'll be good. If you want the best, you're going to need to do that yourself. But if you want a simple plug and play solution with a good storage and good RAM, just a few extra dollars from bare bones with the operating system already on it, that's a hard deal to beat. Okay, so no differently than when you've ever seen me install Windows 10 or Windows 11, I always go through these screens the same way. English, yes. United States, yes. Keyboard, US keyboard layout, yes. Do I want a second language keyboard layout? I do not, so we hit skip. Wants to connect me to the network. Right here, it says I don't have internet. I'm going to click on that. And then I will click on continue with limited setup, which is basically telling it no twice. Agree to the end user license agreement because you don't have a choice. And I put in a username. And I leave the password field blank because I just want it to start to the desktop. I turn off all telemetry except for location settings. I find location settings is very useful to have turned on. It'll keep our date and time always synchronized properly. And if I ever want to locate something near me, just like I do on my cell phone, by having those location settings on, it makes that more convenient. Now, everything I've adjusted can be readjusted by the customer through the control panel very easily. It's all very reversible. The machine, I don't hear a fan running it. It's perfectly silent. I have no way to tell that that is on aside from the power light being. Mike Harden contribute $5 via Super Chat. He says, thanks for all you do. Right on, Mike. Thank you for supporting the channel. All right, so I'm going to just waiting here for the finalization of the Windows 11 setup. This is the same on every new install of Windows 11. The length of time it takes to get through this kind of depends on the build that you're using and the performance and resources available of the machine you're using. This one happening relatively quickly. Now that we're up and running, I can grab the internet cable or Ethernet cable and plug it in back here. Now we can look for any missing Windows updates, but before we do, let's just take a quick look in the device manager and make sure, once again, the operating system is not only pre-installed, but all the drivers are already pre-installed. So it is really a plug-and-play solution. If you do the bare bones, you're going to have to get the drivers from Minisforum that are not built into Windows 11 automatically. But we can verify that we have the TPM module under security devices. There's our trusted platform module. That's what's required to run Windows 11. You don't have this, but you have Windows 11, your computer's not Windows 11 compatible, and you're not entitled to receive updates. Even though you are right now, Microsoft is not ensuring or giving you any peace of mind that that will continue. They might stop issuing updates to computers that don't meet Windows 11 compatibility. Is it just a threat? I don't think it is, but you decide what path you want to take. We can look at our network adapters and verify that we have a 2.5 gig. It says it's a Realtek gigabit. It doesn't show that it's 2.5 gig, at least not under the name. So let me see what speed we're connected at. Go down here and click on, see, network and internet settings under internet property. Shows this is not 2.5 gig. So that is not accurate. This is a 1 gig. 1 gig Ethernet. Did it say, am I making that up in my head, or did it say it was 2.5 gig on their website? Let me go back for a second here. Back over to the Minisforum page. Interface. RJ45, it says 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, but we do not have a 2.5 gig Ethernet port. I'll have to reach out to my contact at Minisforum and find out if I was sent a prototype or if they have a typographical error website. We are looking at the right model, right? UN1265, UN1265. I'm confused. Let's go back. Look at this a little closer. I mean, I'm plugged into a 2.5 gig LAN port on the TP-Link Wi-Fi 7 router. So if this were 2.5 gig, it would say it's connected at 2500, not at 1000. And, here it says 1000. So looking again in the device manager, you can also verify that that's not a 2.5 gig network port. So it looks like we have found a discrepancy. Okay, good to know. If I really want a 2.5 gig that badly, I can just get a USB 2.5 gig cable. Plug it into the USB 3 port. My biggest concern is they're telling me it comes with it. It's not the fact that it doesn't have it that bothers me. It's the fact that they told me it's supposed to. So we'll get to the bottom of that after the show. I'll send an email. We'll find out what's going on. And I'm very curious as to the performance of the drive. So let me grab my utilities flash drive here, and we'll plug this into the front USB 3 port, and we'll copy off a couple of utilities that I use. I always put VLC on all the computers, and I take off the Microsoft Media stuff, the movies and TV. A lot of that stuff that comes with Windows 11 and Windows 10, I take that off. That's my personal preference. You don't have to do what I do. I want Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimizer. Even though it's Windows 11, it does work on it. It won't hurt anything. I don't know how much it helps, but it won't hurt anything. And then I need the CPU-Z software, and I need the Crystal Disk Mark portable software. Normally, I'd want to go through and do the updates first. I just want to make sure we are running Windows 11 Pro 22H2. So right-click on the Start menu. I want to go to System. We can verify we have 16 gigs of RAM. We verify we have the i7-12650H, and we are 22H2 11 Pro. That means I'm not going to be too many updates behind as far as whatever monthly updates have come out since this was manufactured and shipped, and then I received it. There will be some. But all of our drivers are installed, as you can see, and we'll run over to Crystal Disk Mark. I always use the portable version of software, so I'm not installing things on customers' computers and then removing them, which leaves registry entry just messy. It's sloppy tech work for people. And let's run all the tests on drive C. Now, bear in mind, it may be downloading updates in the background. In fact, it probably is. That might slightly impact the scores we get, but it'll be close enough for government work anyway. We just want to verify we're at Gen 4 speeds. Gen 4 means anything above 3,600, 3,700 megabytes per second and up to 7,300. Obviously, a more expensive and larger capacity NVMe drive that's Gen 4 can go much faster if that's important to you. In most cases, most people aren't going to see the difference between what is nearly 5,000 megabytes per second and 7,000 megabytes per second. A few of you will, most of you won't. Outside of running a benchmark like this, there's no way you could feel it. Not likely anyway. Some of you are exceptions, but some of you are very special people. Talking about the special ones. Okay. If you've got the money and you just like to see the big numbers, spend it however you want to spend it. But nothing to be ashamed of at 4,800. That is absolutely much faster than a Gen 3 drive. And we all know how impressive the Samsung 970 EVO Gen 3 drive is. And this is nearly 50% faster than that. 35%. A little fast and loose with the math today. Let's see, saying in the chat room here. Let me go back over to capture, since we're overriding that anyway, our HDMI. And I'm looking all the way over there when I've got a screen right here. Oh, I should probably use the screen near me. Are the drivers for the 2.5 gig Ethernet there? Not quite sure I understand the question. How would I know if drivers for hardware it doesn't have are available when they would not be in any way usable if you don't have the hardware they belong to? Unless I specifically knew the file names and version numbers of those file names, I could tell you that you could go to the manufacturer's website and download those drivers. Not quite sure I'm understanding the question. Carey, set it to full duplex on the NIC. Well, it's out of the box as it came from Minisforum. We've unboxed it and plugged it in and turned it on for the very first time, gone through the out-of-box experience. The device manager says it's a gigabit Realtek Ethernet controller. It doesn't say it's a 2500 or a 2.5 gigabit. The device driver itself is a regular gigabit Ethernet controller. Gigabit Ethernet means 1 gigabit. It doesn't have to have the number 1, just be 1 gigabit. Gigabit, when used on its own, means 1 gigabit. So unless you are saying it's multi-gig or you put a number larger than the number 1 in front of it, the driver we have can only go 1 gigabit. And the driver we have is for that specific piece of hardware made by Realtek. I think Realtek has an auto driver installer so that you can download this driver package, because I know Intel does this. And it'll auto detect whichever cards you've got, and all the drivers for their family of cards are all in this one package. It assigns it. But we are at 1,000, 1,000. We could check just to make sure it hasn't been manually set to 1,000. But again, the driver, the device driver itself says this is a 1 gigabit Ethernet controller. So looking at duplex or looking at any set speed means you're ignoring what the device says it is. So if I told you this car has 3 gears in the transmission and you said, well, open it up and see if there's a 4th gear, it's labeled as a 3-gear transmission. Why would you think there's a 4th gear? You have nothing else better to do? I mean, what evidence do you have to support that's even worth looking into when it's lining up and doing exactly what the title of it says? Driver says it's a gigabit Ethernet controller and it's running at gigabit Ethernet speeds. Now, if it said it was a 2.5 gig or a multi-gig Ethernet controller and it was running at gigabit speeds, I'm with you. And Bokanek becomes a supporter. Welcome to our tech club, Ken. Marsman50 says, 16-day trip out west, 12 national parks and forests, home safely, back listening to Carey. Hey, that sounds like a great trip. Jealous. Victor Calendar says, I sent you an Amazon gift card. Oh, did you? Let me see. That's awfully kind of you, Victor. And our good friend Marvin Jameson also sends an Amazon gift card. And Marvin says, I hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card for $25. Well, thank you, Marvin. Marvin's such a cool dude, isn't he? And we're back to the email. Yes, Victor Calendar sent £3 from amazon.co.uk. Victor, I cannot use your gift card, unfortunately. You have purchased it from amazon.co.uk. And that means if I were to cash that in, I'd have to cash it in at amazon.co.uk, which I don't have an account for. You have to send it in US dollars from amazon.com. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, there's a little link at the bottom of the page to reach out to Amazon customer service. And you can ask them how to retract that gift card. And if you want to resend it, how you would send an Amazon.com gift card in US dollars. I appreciate the thought. That was very kind of you. What else do we have? Mark Gaines, joining us from Northern Ireland, sends a 40-pound Amazon gift card. Once again, and Mark has sent numerous gift cards in the past, but he's never done this before. I cannot use gift cards in other currencies. It's got to be in US dollars, and it's got to be for Amazon.com. Amazon.co.uk requires its own login, its own account, and I would have to order from there and have it all shipped overseas. So instead of like overnight shipping for free, I'd be waiting 3 weeks to get stuff. So I appreciate the thought. Once again, you can go to the bottom of the Amazon page. There's a button there for customer service. You can explain mistakenly sent a gift card in from .co.uk when you meant to send it in US dollars, how to retract it. And of course, if you want to resend it, then you can do that again. But again, that's the thought that counts. And thank you both very much for the attempt. $7.77 Amazon gift card from our good friend Alan Lindus. Thank you, Alan. Alan's joining us here outside of Phoenix. We have 114 degrees scheduled for today's weather. And it should be cooler the rest of the week and next week by about 7 degrees. We should be under 110 anyway. That's what I'm hoping for. There's our final numbers, which have been on the screen the whole time, but I haven't been looking. So 4814 megabytes per second on the reads, 3547, 3548 really, on the sequential write speed. So that's the best this drive can do under the best of circumstances. This computer, as I mentioned, it's very, very fast. It's likely faster than whatever you're using to watch this, except I know Paul O'Brien's got an i5-13500, so he'll be one of the minority of viewers that has a machine faster than this, but then he just built it. And I know he paid more than $350 for his. And of course, his is faster, and he's got a full desktop, so it's more expandable. But I digress. In general, this little box right here is likely more powerful than the vast majority of viewers watching this video, or what they're using to watch this video. And it's very affordable. It's from a reputable company. It's got a solid reputation and very easy to get into and work on. Everything's replaceable, dual channel RAM, Gen4 NVMe, very easy to upgrade or replace that. You can replace the Wi-Fi card. What's not to like? Are there any questions that any of you have you'd like me to cover? Happy to answer them. Mark Gaines says, Carey, it gave me the option to pay in dollars. Well, it didn't send it in dollars. It sent it in pounds, and it sent it from amazon.co.uk gift card instead of an amazon.com gift card. Amazon.co.uk gift cards must be used at amazon.co.uk. I cannot cash them in and have amazon.com accept an amazon.co.uk gift card. But you'd think it's all the same company, but they operate as different entities. But it's really easy to retract that gift card and to resend it the way you've sent it in the past. You've never done that before, and it's weird. That and the one from Victor happened right within a few minutes of each other. I haven't seen that in months. Something in the air today. Shane Perkins provides an Amazon shortcut link to purchasing an Amazon.com. Andre Hernandez says, hello, welcome in, Andre. We built a computer for Andre back around January of this year, I think. Andre said he was having some trouble recently getting another monitor to turn on or getting video to a second monitor. It's been running fine since he had it, but he reached out to me and we haven't been able to connect yet. But assuming you're still having the issue, Andre, you can certainly explain it here in the chat room, and maybe between me and the chat room, we can help you sort it out. We'd also like to know when the problem started. Did you make a change? Did you move the computer? Did you buy a new monitor? Did you change any cables? What if the computer was running great and now you can't get a second monitor to turn on? Did you make a change to something that resulted in the second monitor suddenly not being able to work anymore? Or was it working fine one day and then one day you come in and it's not working fine anymore? That will help us a lot to find an answer to this problem. Mark Gaines contributed £2. He says, check your email, Carey. I don't know if that was recently or from the one I just saw. Let me take another look. No, I think you're referring to the prior one. Yeah, so in my email, it shows that the gift card is coming from amazon.co.uk, where the gift card needs to, the email, like I can tell just by who it says the email's from. A regular amazon.com gift card comes from amazon.com. An amazon.co.uk gift card comes from an amazon.co.uk email address. So I can tell immediately just by looking at the inbox that I won't be able to use it. So at the very least, just claw your money back from Amazon. At least get your money back, because I can't cash that. All right. But again, I want to thank you sincerely, because it's not many people who do give, and your intention was in the right place. It was just executed wrong. Starshine says only 130 days till Christmas, and Santa has a cracking joke for me, which I'm not going to listen to for fear of chronic depression, according to Alexa. All right, well, there you go. John Rogers said, I'm leaning towards this Miniforum, just the basic model. Yeah, get the bare bones model. Let's look at how fast this thing boots up. Let's do that. Let's get our updates first. I should have been doing that this whole time. We've been full screen. Again, it only makes it full screen for me. You guys already have it full screen. Go over to settings, update. So I guess it was not updating in the background because that was off. Go ahead and grab these updates. There's not a lot of updates waiting. And then we'll look under advanced options just to see if there's any driver updates. And there does appear to be 2 optional updates here. And one is a display driver for the built-in graphics. One is, it sees my capture card as a monitor. That's fine. It won't hurt to put that on, download it, install those, just so it keeps my OCD happy to see there's no updates available. So I just apply it and I don't have to look at it, even though it won't do anything. Shouldn't hurt. That's my main concern, as long as it doesn't hurt. Okay, take a look back into the chat room and let's see if you guys have any questions while we're waiting for downloads to install, download and install. Waiting for updates to download and install. This is the time for us to interact. This is the thing I do that most other YouTube channels, 99.9% of YouTube channels, and there's millions of them, do not interact with their audience at this level. So I hope you take advantage of it. I certainly want you to. Otherwise, it's just watching TV. You can go watch TV if you don't want to interact. Especially when you're watching this video live. Are you having a computer problem or a technical issue? We have a very knowledgeable community here. Don't just look to me for answers. Watch the chat room for answers too. A lot of times their answers are more accurate or better or clearer than mine. Not always, but it happens, and it happens frequently. Not ashamed to admit it. I'm very proud of it. Proud that I have such a capable community. Take advantage of it and join us. So I didn't want to measure the reboot time until we get all the updates in first. Once the updates are downloaded and installed, we're going to need to reboot to finish their installation. So that reboot time won't count, obviously, because it's doing work that it wouldn't normally do at a restart. But after that, we'll check for updates again, and we'll repeat that until there are no more updates remaining. Then we can do a restart and see how long it takes to shut down, how long it takes to boot up. This thing has been whisper quiet. Like, if I listen really carefully, I can just barely hear it. And I'm not even sure if that's just my imagination or if I'm actually hearing something. It's that quiet. David Ice said, I'm using my phone's hotspot to watch you today. Our Spectrum internet is down. Oh, that sucks. We are in August here in Phoenix, which is our monsoon season. That's typically where we get all of our big, heavy thunderstorms, lightning storms, heavy downpours of rain. Streets get flooded, trees get knocked over. It hasn't happened yet, but it's supposed to be coming. What we've got now is what we're calling a non-soon, because nothing's happening. But it is very humid outside. And so when it's 114 and it's humid, it's miserable. Like it's regularly miserable at 114. But when you crank up the humidity, which is normally single digit humidity, and now we're getting to like 60, 70% humidity, it's miserable. Oh, the other thing I want to do is adjust the power settings so this thing doesn't go to sleep on us. So I'm going to just edit the power plan. Oh, default, it's all set to never. I'm okay with that. Then the other thing is I don't like this little cartoon down on my search bar down here. So to get rid of that in Windows 11, I just type in search missions, there it is, and hit enter. Scroll all the way down, and this last one here that says show search highlights, just turn that to off and you'll see that little cartoony thing went away. Now, after a major Windows update like to 23H2, when that comes out in a couple months, that might turn itself back on again. But it's no big deal to flip it right back off. When I say flip it off, I mean flip it off. Sherry McFarland said that Arizona climate sounds terrible. Well, come see for yourself. Come on out in August and see what it's like. It's fine. It's actually quite nice when you get into November, December, January, February, March. Starts really warming up in April. This year, we had a very mild winter, kind of a bit of a late summer, but when the heat hit, we had the hottest July ever recorded. I think every day in July was 110 degrees Fahrenheit or above with no break. Little over 2 weeks in July was over 90 degrees at night, was the coolest it ever got. For over 2 weeks in a row, I think. So even at the nighttime, it's 90 plus degrees Fahrenheit, 3 o'clock in the morning when it should be nice with the sun down, but nope. Still very, very much running the air conditioning at 3 o'clock in the morning to keep that AC, keep the house temperature ideally below 80. I usually set the thermostat at 79. And then basically the thermostat will click off at 78 is what it does. Shane Perkins said, Carey, you should have received my bet in email. I don't know what that means. And Sherry says, I'll pass on August. I wish I could. I mean, I can't think of a state in the United States where August is pleasant. They're all pretty much hot and humid, but amplified in Arizona for sure, or in Phoenix anyway. Les Stevenson said, hey, that's a fantastic machine and a fantastic presentation. He's going to take his leave, say hello to Camera Girl, and he's going to watch tomorrow with the build that Mitch and I are doing. Right on, Les. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with us today. Orly Boy wants to know, do you have any idea where I could find Canon BJC 250 drivers for Windows 10? Canon Bubblejet 250. Oof. What year was that made? Do they even sell ink for it anymore? Let's see. Canon BJC 250. State. That printer came out $30 ago. Is that right? Did the printer come out in the 90s? Yeah, as far as I know, there weren't drivers for Windows XP or Windows Vista or Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 10 or Windows 11. It's that old. Someone says they were able to get their BJC 250 to work with Windows 7 by adding the printer manually, and he installed the printer drivers for a BJC 240, and it seems to be working fine. I just can't believe you'd have a printer that's that old and you'd seriously want to keep using it. Shane Perkins sends an Amazon gift card for $5. He says, this is my lost bet fee on the power supply. Oh, thank you, Shane. That's nice of you. Nobody was gonna come collecting. I'm not even aware you placed said bet, but I certainly appreciate your support of the channel. I consider that sort of like a tip. It's never expected, but it's always appreciated. Now, please don't think this computer is slow because of how long these downloads are taking. My internet connection is slow. And much like having a Ferrari, if you put it on the freeway during rush hour, that car is not going any faster than everybody else on the roads. And that's kind of the situation we're at right now. This is sort of like a Ferrari on the freeway at rush hour when it comes to waiting on my internet connection. Les Stevenson said, Carey, it's 78 degrees Fahrenheit here in Toronto, Canada, with rain and thunder tonight. Yeah, I've been to Toronto a few times in my life. I was born and raised in Detroit. Toronto was a few hours away, but I haven't been there since 1980. Andre said, I've always had two monitors and everything works fine. And one day I came into the office and I lost a signal on one monitor. I went to display settings to click on detect, and a message popped up, said it didn't detect another display. So what I would do is reverse the cables. take the cable running to monitor 1 and plug it into monitor 2. Take the monitor from monitor 2 and plug it into monitor 1. If monitor 2 works, then you might have a bad cable. Monitor 2 doesn't work. Remember, monitor 2 should now be displaying monitor 1. Monitor 1 should say no signal. But if monitor 1 displays the picture and monitor 2 doesn't, you either have a bad cable or a bad monitor. Let me rephrase that. That wouldn't be a bad cable. In that case, that would be a bad monitor. Yeah. So just switch the cables. Take the cable from monitor 1, plug it into monitor 2. Cable from monitor 2, plug it into monitor 1, and let us know what the results are. Flintlock 1 said, Minisforum seems like a great value PC if you buy the bare bones system. You know, for $50 to get a 512 gig Gen 4 NVMe drive and 2 8 gig 3200 speed sticks of RAM for $50 more, I'd still say that sounds like a solid deal. Just that if you wanted more than that and you wanted it to be faster, obviously it'd be cheaper for you to get it bare bones in that scenario. You'd be hard pressed to find another mini PC from any manufacturer, let alone a name brand like this, to sell you anything close to this anywhere near that price. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Ben Laird said he changed to a laser printer, much better than inkjet. Agreed. Yeah. I despise inkjet printers. I really do. I haven't owned an inkjet printer in probably 30 years. Laser for me all the way. I know some people like to print out photos and stuff. I don't. I very rarely look at photos aside from on a screen of some kind, whether it's my phone or a computer. If there's particular photos that I really like, I'll go to walgreens.com or cvs.com and upload those photos. Choose what size picture I want, and I can choose to have a magnet placed on the back of that photo. And usually within a day or two, my order is ready to pick up. Let them use their printer and their ink, because the photos look exactly like photos. I don't have to buy the expensive paper. And when you print it on regular paper, it looks like crap. So let them handle that expense. I don't print photos often enough to justify that investment. And it's pennies per photo. It's very inexpensive. And there's a Walgreens or a CVS like on every corner of America, at least in all the major towns, and a lot of the small towns too. Very convenient. And as I mentioned, you can have them put magnets on the back, stick it on the refrigerator, or you can, if you want to go old school, and put them in a photo album. They look just like the same photos you were getting printed out in the 1980s. And let them cover the expense of the printer. And that's the way I see it. For me, I need a printer for sending out invoices to customers. I need a printer for printing out addresses for computers and products I need to ship. I wouldn't want to use a bubble jet or an inkjet printer because it's just black and white or grayscale printing. Heads clog up. There are a lot of maintenance. I also like the flatbed scanner, and I realize you can buy inkjet printers, flatbed scanners, but they have the laser jets with flatbed scanners for under $200. So basically, when I'm sending out like those free PCs, I have to collect somebody's address. I have to get their address written down with my sending address, my FedEx information. I give the box and the piece of paper to the FedEx guy, and he types it in the computer, prints out a FedEx label, sticks it on, gives me the receipt. I come back, put that receipt on the scanner, on the printer, scan that receipt, and then I send the tracking information and the copy of the receipt to the recipient. So there's no way a color inkjet printer would be beneficial to me. Also, I don't think I've ever changed a toner cartridge in this laser printer I've got here at Studio B. I've been in here 2 years. I'm still on the same toner cartridge. David Ice said, the Ace Magic one you showed the other day, they now have it on the website with the Intel. Oh, is that in stock, the Intel version? That's a pretty neat. Twice as expensive as this one. Jeremy Perry with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Jeremy. Victor said, gift card sent again. All right, let's take a look since we're just here waiting on this cumulative update to finish installing anyway. Yes, there is an email. Victor sent a $3 Amazon gift card. Well, thank you, Victor. Right on. I appreciate you, my friend. Just sent you a thank you message there. David, I said the Ace Magic is $639 with 16 gigs of RAM and 512. This is half of that. But it doesn't have RGB on it. It's not fancy looking case or anything. It's a pretty generic looking case. They're both good machines. But I'd say this Minisforum one is better value. Mark Gaines contributes £5 in Super Day. Says, check your email in 10 minutes, Carey. I sent it again. Thank you, Mark. Cheers, my friend. Johnny E wants to know if Studio A is closed. I think I'll be filming in Studio A at the end of this month, a couple more weeks. But Studio B is the studio used 98% of the time. Well, it's available to us. It's not been promised to us for any period of time, so it can be removed or taken back at any time. Email or a phone call that says, time's up. In which case, I will have to find a Studio C. But it's been 2 years now, 2.5 years. That phone call hasn't come yet, thankfully. Screen. Okay, yeah, we're still installing this cumulative update here. Shadow Dash Media wants to know if I watch other tech YouTubers like LGR and have you heard of Teddy Bear PC? I don't know who you're talking about. I don't usually have time. I would encourage you to start making some YouTube content. You know, try and make at least 3 videos a week. And then I would ask you what YouTube channels you watch. And you'll be like, are you crazy? Don't you see how much content I make? I can't make content and watch content at the same time. Generally speaking, I will check out Gamers Nexus. I check out Rob Tech. He reviews mini PCs. And for the most part, I really don't want to watch tech. I want to watch other things. I want to watch 80s music reaction videos. I want to watch dad jokes. I want to watch The Deals Guy. I want to watch... I need more variety in my life than just doing the same thing day in and day out. Drive me insane. Gary Tatum says LGR is mostly retro. Jason L says LGR does interesting retro. Again, I've lived it, so I find that interesting. It's like, hey, you want to talk about that thing you used to do 20, 25 years ago? Okay, I guess. Well, let me show you what this looks like. I already know what it looks like. Let me show you how it works. I already know how it works. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of appeal for that for me. Remember, I've been doing this for a living for over 30 years. It's not like I just had a machine for a little bit that I played with, and now it's nostalgic to go back and look at it. No. I worked on them 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah, I'll let you guys enjoy that content. It's not for me. I'm gonna eat a cold Gatorade here. Anybody have any technical questions for me? Any problems with your computer we can help you resolve. Badging Guy says, what are your thoughts on mean time before failure? It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm a professional computer technician. If things never failed, I would have to find another job. I don't count on things failing. And I don't place bets or make purchases based on what I believe is going to fail and I'm going to suddenly have income come. When things break, customers call and I fix them. The frequency with which things break is of no concern of mine, unless I see a pattern of things, like a lot of customers being affected by the same thing, in which case I would want to draw your attention to it and to make you aware, if you're an owner of that, to watch for that. That hasn't happened in a long time, though, for the most part. Things like Samsung Galaxy Notes blowing up because of bad batteries, bad batches of hard drives like the IBM Death Star, that 3 terabyte model from Seagate. That's all more or less in the past. Technology has continued to evolve in manufacturing. Product components are better, and the failure rates are things are lasting much longer because they're built better and they're built with more accuracy. When they're built by machines, robots can put things together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They never have a bad mood. They never feel sick. They're never angry or have emotion. They do the job precisely the same way when they start the day, and they do the job exactly the same way when they end the day. They don't have to end the day. They can run 24/7. So there's a consistency and quality that we can rely on now that didn't exist decades ago. And the products themselves that are manufactured, individual components are manufactured by machine. Those individual components are then manufactured and assembled by machine into another unit. So it's resulting in much higher quality. And there's nothing in life that's perfect. Life is messy and chaotic, and things break no matter what you do. You're still going to have natural disasters to contend with. You're still going to have power spikes, like that sort of thing that you have no control over, that has nothing to do with MTBF, but will still cause failure. So it doesn't mean anything to me. Shane Perkins wants to know if I've seen the class action lawsuit against Western Digital over Extreme Pro SSDs. No, I'm not aware of it. I know there was some concern about Western Digital NAS drives being SMR when they're supposed to be CMR, something like that, and strongly recommended to avoid Western Digital red drives for your NAS. But I don't use Western Digital red drives anyway. I use Seagate Iron Wolves. The 12 terabyte drives I've got at Studio A and the Synology NAS there are the same original drives I put in it years ago. Never been a problem. Knock on wood. Been perfect. Sherry McFarland said, I'm glad there was a live stream today. I always have to leave early on Fridays and Saturdays. Well, we're glad to have you here, Sherry. It's good to see you in the chat. Looks like our update's almost done, 75% of the way there. Jerry says he misses the Kitchen Island videos. Yeah, the Kitchen Island was a little bit lower. It's a little more comfortable to work on. And I think it was a little longer and a little wider. Maybe the width is the same, but the length, I think the Kitchen Island is a little longer. And it was a little lower, which made it way more comfortable lifting big, heavy computers up. But a lot of people would say, why do you film in your kitchen? That's weird. It's not weird. You film a video, where are you going to film it? Especially if it's electronics work. You need a naturally anti-static environment, and you need a lot of light. So you don't want to work on carpeting. Most kitchens, don't have carpeting. They're a naturally anti-static environment. Most kitchens are well lit. So the kitchen was the perfect place to film. Now, I had a back office. One of the rooms in the house was used as an office, and that's really where the work was done. I had a bench put in, professionally done. But to film it, you wouldn't want me to film it in that office, because there's no way to get you on the other side of the wall that I'm working against so I can talk to you and look at you. So, you know, kind of teased and harassed a lot about being in the kitchen, but I don't think people really thought about it. Should I be in the bedroom? Should I be in the hallway? Should I be in the bathroom? Should I be in the closet? So then I step away and, you know, have a room dedicated as a proper studio, which is very difficult to light. And people go, what happened to the kitchen? I love the internet. Bruce Lucas said, you mentioned Gamers Nexus. Do you have thoughts on the recent events with Linus Tech Tips? It's what I said was going to happen. I mean, if you go back when Linus was sending out all of these illegal takedown notices, trying to get money from YouTube channels, claiming he owned the copyright to the Unigine Heaven benchmark and trying to shake down channels for money. Linus said it wasn't his fault. Linus said, I didn't handle it right. I should have come to him personally, even though he doesn't respond to people. Linus will never answer an email. Likely will never respond to a tweet. I'm not like that. I don't do that to my viewers. So Linus said YouTube did that automatically. Is that possible? He lied. Linus lied to his audience. He even went on the WAN show, even though in my video I explained to Linus what the problem was. He didn't listen. And he shirked all responsibility. And he said, I'm going to mention this and I'm not going to talk about it again. So he just leaves things like that, fixes things, and it just festers. So I'm still angry. It's never been resolved between Linus and I. Linus thinks it's resolved because he's walked away and ignored it, which is what he tried to do with Gamers Next. It's more of the same with him. Look, he's an enthusiast, and he's done very, very well for an enthusiast, but he's been way over his head. He's been over his head for a long time. The fact it's gotten this big is incredibly lucky, like an Inspector Clouseau of YouTube channels. If I was Linus, I would hire somebody that has a college education to run the channel. I'd realize, okay, this isn't just hobbyist anymore. This is, you know, when he made his first million, that would have been the time. So as long as he keeps doing the same thing, you can just expect more of the same. It just took somebody as big as Gamers Nexus to call him out because he's just ignored it. He's burned a lot of people. And the instant you call him out on it, he says, I'm not a bad person. He's not, he just doesn't get it. Linus eventually figured out that it was his multi-channel partner called Fullscreen that was sending those takedown notices on his behalf. But he says that's not his fault because they don't work for him. But in fact, they do work for him. They're an independent company, and any amount of money that they generate by sending those takedown notices, Linus gets most of that and they get a cut of it. So it's sort of like being a hitman or a mob boss. And you basically hire somebody to off somebody else and say, that's not my fault. I didn't pull the trigger. That's an independent contractor. You take it up with them. But no, that's not how the world works, Linus. So see how it shakes down. Interested to see if he does the right thing. And, you know, he had an offer apparently to somebody to buy his channel. He should have taken it, in my opinion. If it was me, I'd have taken the money. He'd be set for life. He might already be set for life, but he's in way over his head. You know, as a hobbyist, as an enthusiast, he's going to continue the same old crap, right? Improperly trained employees that causes his channel to get hacked because everything's fast and loose. Employees complaining of harassment and bullying and what do you expect? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just making it all up. He's got no academic education in this regard, and he can certainly afford it. He could take a couple months off, go get an MBA in business if he really wants to run this as a business properly. It's his to do with what he wants. I am sure he would have been sued by many people if he were in the United States. Being in Canada has shielded him from a lot of lawsuits. That much I know. Am I jealous much? Yeah, I am jealous. I mean, I wish I could bumble around and be successful through bumbling. Who wouldn't be? Yeah. But I encourage any of you who want to be judgy, show me your videos. And if you don't have any, not interested, because you don't know what you're talking about either. So somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about somebody else that doesn't know what they're talking about. It's just like a bunch of hens. I got other things to do. Work in the real world. I reached out years ago to Linus and offered to, suggested we could work together using my professional experience and his reach that he had could correct a lot of the errors that they were making. And he suggested I was begging for a job. I don't think you read what I wrote. He read something else entirely. So yeah, there's some bad blood between us, and for good reason. He's never apologized or made right. And when he issued a tweet acknowledging it was his MCM that was sending all those takedown notices, but he never talked about it on camera. He never corrected his audience. He's got a bunch of fanboys as an audience, certain section of his audience that will harass you and harass you and harass you. And he won't tell them to stop. He said, well, I never told him to do it, so it's not my responsibility. Of course not. Nothing is ever his. So yeah, I haven't really talked about it because it's pretty obvious. If you can't see it, then you don't want to see it. And I'm not here to change your mind. Think whatever you want to think. No impact on me. I don't really care. But it'll be interesting to see, is this the nail in the coffin or are they going to recover? I don't know. People say he's putting out too many videos, putting out 25 videos a week, but he has to. In order to pay the salaries of all those people, YouTube pays so little, and each sponsorship only pays so much. The only way he can get away with being able to afford to produce fewer videos is to let some of the staff go, because his staff is a fixed expense. So the more videos you can crank out with that fixed expense, the more profit you're going to make. If you're going to take down the amount of profit you're going to make, then you can't necessarily afford to keep paying everybody and don't need as many people. So then the company will have to shrink. And he's trying to make the company bigger, not smaller. So I don't see any way to avoid the hungry monster that is YouTube. It has to be fed often. And the bigger your channel is, the more often you have to feed. And that might require help hiring people. And the more people you hire, the more demand there is for you to generate more revenue, because now you're responsible for paying those people, regardless of how well the video performs. They're not paid on performance. They're paid probably hourly or on salary. So you want to squeeze as much work out of them as you can get so you can be as profitable as possible. Reducing the number of video output means you don't have as much to spend on staff. That means you got to let people go. And that means the channel will start getting smaller. So I understand that problem. Believe me, I understand it better than anybody. And that's why I haven't hired anybody. And that's why my channel hasn't grown the way his has grown. So, yep. Greg says 50% of his revenue is from merch. Yeah, I've talked about that here on the channel, where most successful YouTube channels aren't making their money from YouTube. Folks like Logan Paul are making hundreds of millions of dollars in activities outside of YouTube and using YouTube as a platform to advertise boxing matches or records, songs, music, and other merch, hats, t-shirts. David Dobrik was clearing several $1 million a year because of YouTube, but not from YouTube. I think David Dobrik said YouTube, the revenue from his YouTube channel from YouTube, from Google, was approximately $2,000 a month. Well, that's not paying for that Lamborghini that he's driving. No, his sponsorships with SeatGeek and I think it was Capital One, Visa, MasterCard. That's where all of his money. And YouTube was simply the platform for which to, have a lot of eyeballs on him. So the big corporations will pay for him to talk to those eyeballs about their product. Money didn't come from YouTube. All right, let's check for updates one more time here. Derek Bronson says Google search says your net worth is $5 million. That's hilarious. Does Google search say I'm 10 feet tall? Does Google search say that I'm Asian? Must be true if Google search says it. I think if you took every penny I've ever earned ever in my life, it wouldn't even add up to $1 million. Certainly not $5 million. Oh, I wish that were true. "55 Staying Dude" said, Craig Salazar is one of my favorites. Great personality. Yeah, Greg does a great job. I agree with you on that one. All right. So we're all clear on our Windows updates. Let me run Uncle Carey's Windows 10 out to mine. Just because I can. All right. I will say, this idea that people assume that all tech or all YouTubers want to be bigger, I think is a real misunderstanding and poor judgment on behalf of people that assume that. I wouldn't want a channel as big as Linus' channel, because as my channel has grown, so has the scrutiny. People start putting things under magnifying glasses. When your channel is small, it's far more fun. You get more connections with people because you see the same people. When you start seeing thousands and thousands of people, it's hard to remember everybody. It's hard to give everybody a fair amount of time individually. It becomes impossible. Things you say and things you do are suddenly now scrutinized. Who needs it? It's not worth it to me. So I'm very happy with where the channel is. I do want to see it grow, but I don't want to see it like that, because I can assure you, if my channel were to get that big, it would change who I am and it would change what this channel is. It won't be as grounded. It'll be more of a money-making machine, and the focus will be on the money and not on the community. My focus is on my community, and that's first and foremost to me. And that's likely not going to result in me getting rich or being famous on YouTube, but I'm okay with that, because it also means I'm not going to be under that level of scrutiny, and I'm not going to have that kind of stress and be that big of a target for. If I could go back to having, say, 30,000, 50,000 subscribers, things were far more relaxed back then. And the only reason it's gotten more stressful is because the scrutiny's increased. So now I've got to be more careful with what I say or how I say it. Any misspeaking is, nobody knows what you mean anymore. They intentionally take what you say literally and then hammer you for it as though created a big grievance. You said Wi-Fi 5 when it's Wi-Fi 6. Yeah. So, did you know what I meant? And of course, if you're going to edit videos, it's less excusable because you should have been able to find that in the edit, fix it before posting it. When we're live, everything's unrehearsed and unscripted. So there's no taking anything back. It is what it is. But what's great is there's so many channels to choose from on YouTube that if I'm not your cup of tea, there's plenty of other cups of tea out there. Doesn't make a dent. That's another problem. When the channel's this big and people, they want it to matter that they're upset or they don't like something, but those people have no impact on the channel individually, whether they come or they go. I don't even notice it. They're not in a position of authority and they're not in a position of their opinion doesn't really mean anything. And if they say, oh, I'm not going to watch anymore, I'm going to go watch somebody else, I'm going to unsubscribe, it makes no financial difference to this channel because each viewer, unless you're a regular contributor, each viewer, I'm making 1/10 of a penny from a view every 30 days. It's nothing to get worked up over. You don't like it, you're leaving. Okay, bye. What do I care? Now, if it's somebody in a position of authority, or if it's somebody that I respect, that's a different story. But some stranger just harassing me because I didn't meet their prerequisite approvals, I don't even know who the hell they are. So that's a hell of a way to introduce yourself to somebody. But that's what I say, create a YouTube channel, put yourself in front of the camera and watch what happens. Then let me know what you think after you've done that for about 2 or 3 years. I think you'd have a very different perspective about it. All right, let me shut this down since we're all updated here. And we're going to turn it on and see how long it takes to boot. So, power light is off. You saw how fast that went off. 3, 2, 1, power. Again, this is all live. Everything is happening in real time. And this is exactly the way Minisforum is sent to computer. We've really done nothing to speed it up. Yes, the Carey's Windows 10 optimization tool helps a little bit, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. And you can see this thing is a rocket. It's really fast. It's dead quiet. It sips on power. It can support 3 monitor outputs. Do I like it? Yes, I like it. Absolutely. Would I own it? Yes, I would own this for sure. This would be overkill as a home theater PC because it's way too powerful. You want to watch 4K 60, videos from Netflix or YouTube. You're not going to have any drop frames on that, assuming you have a good enough internet connection. Old Man 55 says 12 seconds. You remember what the original i3 Nook that I built in April of 2013 booted in? Didn't that boot in 13 seconds? As you can see, the faster storage, the faster RAM, the faster processors, not making a big difference in boot times. So it really depends on the types of applications you use on your computer, which that will determine whether or not the enhanced performance will be beneficial to you, or you're just buying it just to have it, you can, or you like running benchmarks and seeing the numbers, even though it doesn't actually benefit the way you use the computer. That's your decision to make. But for that price, that's hard to beat at that $300 price point. Jitesh says his top 3 favorite YouTubers are CareyHolzman, Network Chuck, and Flossie Carter. I don't know who Flossie Carter is. Network Chuck does amazing, amazing work. James Holland in the chat room wants to know, any ideas why, after a few minutes on Windows 11, my mouse and system freezes or slows dramatically with a Cronus Cyber Protect running? I can disable it and it's fine. If it seems to be related to a Cronus software, what I would do is go right to the horse's mouth. Go over to the Reddit forum. If you go to Google and type in a Cronus Reddit, in fact, we can bring it up right here since we've got the screen up. Oh, I'm starting Microsoft Edge for the first time, so it's going to go through that whole thing. Data, continue with data, check the box, check. Okay, now let me. So we can just type in here, Cronus Reddit, and this very first link is an officially supported forum from the company Acronis. If you've ever seen our interviews with Begowden from Acronis, Begowden is usually the representative of Acronis that's participating and providing answers in these forums. And of course, other people, just enthusiasts or hobbyists familiar with the product, can also answer you as well. Not that Acronis is standing behind those answers, but they certainly will stand behind the answers that Begowden provides. And I would imagine somebody in this forum is familiar with the issue you're having. I've never seen that before in any of the computers I have Acronis on, but if I did, this is where I would look for my answer. So hopefully, well, it's not the answer, it should lead you to your answer. George says, Carey, I love your honesty about other people's opinions. We live in a society now that expects everyone to cater to their opinions and expect you to change because you might offend them. Well, you know, George, what it comes down to it is what we used to say in the 1980s was, make me. So if you don't like something and you want me to change it, make me. And they're going to find out pretty quick, there's no cancel culture that affects me. There's no boycotting any of the sponsors here that impacts me. But if they want to try, let them try. I think it's better to do, tear things down. I'd rather see people build things up, spend your time. If you don't like something, the world's a big place, go away. We'll both be happier rather than trying to get somebody. Because what you're doing is you're being a bully. That's what you're doing. Coming into a community that you don't belong to, you're taking ownership and claiming ownership to something that you have no ownership of. And you're trying to make order or rule where you have no authority and have no way to enforce it. So, you know, talk all you want. What I suggest people do is, you have something to say, you want to be heard, don't stand on my stage. I never invited you on my stage. But if you have a YouTube account, then you have a YouTube channel just like I do. Use it. That's your freedom of speech right there. Not here. This is my freedom of speech here. Your channel is your freedom of speech over there. People don't get that part. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do about it? You don't like it? Demand a refund, you know? Now, I will say, for the people that I get to know in the community, their opinions matter to me. For people that are supportive and kind, their opinions matter to me. But for people who are bullies, self-centered, narcissistic jerks, I'm just returning back to them what they're giving. If they give kindness, they'll get kindness. If they're rude, they're going to get rude in return. They're going to receive exactly what they offer. That's how I roll. It's the way I've always rolled. And unless you can make me do it differently, you'll soon find out. You're wasting your time. We're all here on this planet very temporarily. And I would encourage all of us to use our time to build something, to help others, to be supportive of others, to be kind, share a smile and to share a kind word, because it'll all be over for all of us in what at the end is going to seem like a very short time. You look back on it, the end of your life, and you look back on it, it's all going to happen like that. And if you had the opportunity to do it all over again, would you still engage in rage and arguing with? Who cares what other people think? Who cares if they agree with you? Just go away. There's so many other people that you will get along with, and other places where you will be feeling welcome. There's no reason to try and force somebody to welcome you. It's ridiculous. It's a preposterous concept. I'm going to make you like me, or I'm going to punch you. How does that work? Gary Tatum says 100 years from now, it won't matter. Yeah, well, how far back do you appreciate or remember things that happened 100 years ago? Maybe a handful of historical moments. But most people that were alive 100 years ago are not alive today. And you don't know their name, you don't know anything about them. And you and I will become a part of that group in our time. And so the wheel will go around as long as the planet exists and life on the planet exists. So we already know all this. So why are we behaving as though we're going to live forever? Those are the people that usually die first because they do something stupid. They don't think of the consequences. And by the time they regret it, it's too late. So that's already over. There's no respawning. Not that I'm aware of any. Reborn C-Nick says, amen, demand a refund. That's what I say. If you're paying for something and you feel like you've been ripped off, you didn't get what was advertised or how it was advertised, you have every right to complain and at the very least get your money back. But if you paid nothing and you just clicked a video no one asked you to click on, and you were welcomed, you were invited in as a complete stranger, and you found something to be upset about, just leave. We don't know who you are. And if you're a jerk, we don't care who you are. If you would introduce yourself and we get to know you, that changes things. James Holland contributes $3 in Super Chat. Thank you, James. Yeah, I'm sure the people there at the Reddit forum will be. I can't imagine that that's not a problem they're not already familiar. Jerry Span wants to know, what are those gold medallions with the red numbers? Well, those are our community members that are paying $9.99 a month for membership to our channel. As a member, you get the gold badge, and the number represents how many months you've been a member of the channel. If you see the number 12, it means they've been a member of the channel for between 12 and 24 months, because the next badge that YouTube makes available after 12 is 24. Memberships have only been around 15 months, so nobody's got 24 because we only started this 15 months ago. And it's a way for you to show support for the channel so I can continue to be an independent operator and not have to take on sponsorships and be told what to say, and essentially make 20-minute, 30-minute long commercials, which is what all the big million-plus subscriber channels do. I don't want to do. I'm not interested in that. I'm here to share my experience as a real working professional computer technician and to make that freely available to anybody who's interested in wanting to learn. If you'd like to support that cause, Super Chat contributions, Amazon gift cards, PayPal contributions, and memberships are a way to support the channel so that I can buy product, including the computers we give away. All that's paid for through the community, including the shipping costs. I do the work for free. I organize it all. I don't get paid for that per se. It's just something I voluntarily choose to do in order to give back to the community. And in my thanks for the members is to make a video every Monday at 1 o'clock Pacific time that only the members can watch and only the members can participate in. And that means the audience is much, much smaller. Maybe 40 people in the chat room. And I get to talk to each and every person and really get to know them. So for the people that appreciate that and like that opportunity, we'd love to have you as a member. Now, YouTube takes 30% right off the top. So that $9.99 that people are paying into Google or YouTube for that monthly membership, I'm only going to see $6.99 of that. $6.66. No, it's like $6.99. And the government, well, they collect tax on income, which is about 20%. So I will actually, when it's all said and done, get half. So I realize $10 a month seems like a lot of money, considering what Netflix costs or Disney Plus or something like that. But each video I do costs anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. And that's just one video. I'm doing videos every day. Hopefully I have some product that company has sent me to review that I'm not paying for. Minisforum had a machine I wanted to review, but they didn't have any review units. So I took my own money and I bought it. Okay, want to review it. Most of the things I review on this channel, I pay for. And that wouldn't be possible without the support of the viewers, kind of like NPR or PBS. This is viewer-supported content. We're very lucky to have a few very generous members in our chat room. Our friend Peter Laycock, also we call him Buster. Because of Peter, we have brand new cameras now. If you've noticed, the image quality has gone up. This is the third time Peter has paid for upgrades to our cameras in the last 8 years. And it's extremely generous of him. I can't tell you what that means, but I can tell you, I don't take Peter's money and go buy a Tesla. The money that is intended for the channel goes into the channel. So the amount of content, what the content is about, and the frequency of the content is dependent upon what I can afford. And I don't expect it from anybody, but those who contribute, everybody else benefits because of them. So as you can imagine, if Peter Laycock has a problem with something, he doesn't like something, I'm going to listen, you know, or for that matter, many viewers that are just friends, they've become friends over time, whether we're talking about Mitch Morrison or we're talking about Bill Leatherland out in the UK. I care what they think because I respect them. So if they have something to say and it's critical, I'm going to listen. So if you want to say something that you want me to listen to that's critical, let me get to know you first. You might feel like you know me, but I don't know you, most of you. Get to know me. Let me get to know you. Then you have a critic. Want me to be, if you want to be heard, give me a reason to listen to you. That's all I'm saying. Jerry Span contributes $5. He goes, I've learned a lot from your channel. I built my own PC because of the knowledge I learned from you. Well, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's about everybody helping everybody. This isn't about me helping everybody. This is about me inspiring others to help others. Like we have a member of our community, Michael Dane, who's given away computer number 153 to a member in his local community where he lives in Ohio. That's incredible. And I love the fact that we have such kind people as a part of our community. And that's far more important to me than any amount of money. It's just that with the money, we can do more. That's all. We can do it more often. But memberships are optional. Memberships do have their benefits. Like I said, my own personal time, their own dedicated videos. And if there's anything I can help them with, if they ever want to call me or email me with a computer problem, they can talk to me one-on-one because I will treat them exactly like a customer because they've paid. Most viewers don't pay, so I don't owe viewers anything. Viewers might think otherwise, I don't care. But for the few viewers that actually contribute anything, well, I appreciate that very much because that's fewer than 1% of all viewers. And they don't have to, they're not obligated to, but it's because of them that I have so much content and I'm able to even do this today, for example. Otherwise, you know what I'd be doing today? I'd be at a client's location doing some computer and networking work, billing out by the hour. Can't do both at the same time. Jitesh says Flossie Carter is a YouTube content creator who shows in-depth reviews regarding smartphones, earbuds, and speakers. He also shows phone cases and he supports Samsung. You know who that sounds like is Jerry Rig Everything. He's very good. What's his name, Zach? Yeah, I really like his style. And I like the variety. He's talking about electric cars and then he's talking about phones and just immediately takes a $1,000 phone and starts dismantling it and putting a lighter to it and putting a razor blade to it to see how well it's built. I got a lot of respect for that guy. Marcus Brownlee, MKBHD. Again, you can have a big channel and not be a complete sellout. Marquez has done a great job with that. I think Zach has done a great job maintaining not letting the ego get in the way and also not allowing the haters. Like I let the haters get to me, you know, because I want you guys to know what I'm dealing with behind the scenes, because I try to be as transparent as possible with all of my content. And we'll talk about things most content creators won't discuss. And if they don't talk about it and you've never made a video and you're thinking about doing this, I want you to know what you should be prepared for. That's all. I don't want to encourage you or discourage you. My goal is to provide you with as much information as I can provide to help you make the right decision uniquely just for you. And that sometimes means talking about unpleasant things, but they exist and they should be talked about. David I said, we love your content. That's why we're all still here. Keep up the great work. Well, I appreciate you, Dave. Paul O'Brien said, Peter Laycock's the life and soul of the channel. He's a very genuine, generous gentleman. Respect to him. I've never met him face to face. He's in Scotland, but we're hoping to close that gap. And he's been a benefactor to this channel in a way unlike anybody else, and certainly deserves recognition as such. And if you see Peter Laycock in the chat room, say hello. He's a super cool dude. Okay, any other questions regarding the Minisforum computer that I can address? Did we not cover? I will reach out to Minisforum about the 2.5 gig LAN and see what's going on there. Is that a misprint or did I get a pre-production unit? And then when I hear back, I will let you know what I'm told. Andre says, thank you. I replaced the DisplayPort cable to an HDMI with adapter and it works now. Thank you. My monitor came back to life. All right, well, we've solved Andre's problem. That's great. Well, thanks for following up with us, Andre. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this computer down. I think we're done with it. And I'll go back full screen on camera one and we'll wrap up for today's video. Again, if you have any questions or anything you want me to address, this will be the time to do it. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Mitch Morrison joins us tomorrow. We'll be doing a best bang for the buck build. So it's going to be an i5-12500 CPU with a stock fan, which works perfectly. It's quiet. It keeps the chip from overheating. No reason to spend money on a third-party cooler. We'll use a live mixer ASRock Z790 motherboard. We'll use 2 sticks of DDR4, that's 16 gigs each, no RGB. We'll use an NZXT H5 Flow case, which is a pleasure to work on. Cable management's really easy. If you've never built a computer before, the case you pick can decide whether or not you have a good time or a frustrating time. For storage, I've got that crucial T700 Gen 5 2 terabyte NVMe that's supposed to move data at 12,500 megabytes per second. By comparison, the Samsung 970 EVO that we all rant and rave about how great it is moves data about 3,600 megabytes a second. So it's 4 times, a little less than 4 times faster, supposedly. We'll find out if that's true, and I hope you'll join us then. Mark Gaines says, Carey, did you receive my Amazon gift card okay? Thank you for the reminder, Mark. Let's check. Yes, Mark Gaines set a $50 Amazon gift card. Thank you, Mark. Cheers. Sláinte. Mark joins us from Northern Ireland. Ben Laird says, great stream as always. Thank you, Ben. Ben joining us from Scotland. Victor says, great content. Thanks for the knowledge. Well, thanks for supporting the channel, Victor, and for being a part of this amazing community here. Iggy, the human, wants to know, I've had a negative opinion on HP. Do I still feel the same way? It depends. HP is sort of a Jekyll and a Hyde. When it comes to the consumer stuff that HP makes and sells, they're crap. As far as I'm concerned, my opinion is avoid it. When it comes to the business level equipment like these HP mini PCs, these HP mini PCs are better than Dell's and better than Lenovo's. They're built better, they're easier to work on, they're more upgradable, they're rock solid, reliable, easy to work on machines. It's a different HP. So in business class, HP is the way to go. Consumer side of things, I would avoid HP laptops, I avoid HP printers, and I avoid HP desktops. Now, that's not to say that every laptop and desktop and printer HP makes is bad. They have some good ones, but sorting the good ones from the bad ones takes a lot of research. But on the business side of things, all the stuff HP makes for business, fantastic. Those business class laser printers, holy cow, those things are built solid. And again, easy to work on, parts are easy to get. So the answer to your question is both yes and no, depending on what it is we're talking about that HP makes. Jerry says HP makes decent monitors. Oh, I wouldn't know. I don't use HP monitors. So you might be right. Ron Barner says, if it's not for your channel, I'd be a very lonely person. Well, my gosh. We're glad we can keep you entertained and occupied, and we're glad that you participate in the chat room because we're happy to have you here. All right, guys, I think that'll wrap it up. The video is instantly replayable, so if you've missed the unboxing and you want to know what this included, just draw that little indicator at the bottom of your screen, draw it back to the beginning or draw it back to when you see me unboxing this, scrub through the video to that, and then you can catch anything that you missed. My thanks again to the folks over at Minisforum for sending the unit for review. Definitely thumbs up for me. Great price, great little machine. What's not to like? Easy to work on, very, very powerful, runs quiet, sips power, and they're readily available. They're not hard to get. Thanks to Camera Girl for the thumbnail used in today's video. Thanks to everybody who's contributed during today's live stream, and that includes a shout out one more time to Jerry Spann, also to James Holland, Paul O'Brien, Mark Gaines, Jeremy Perry, Mark Gaines again, Mike Carden, Ben Laird, Avery Ramstorff, Paul O'Brien again. And for the people renewing memberships like Garfield Rupe, or becoming members today, like Ken Bokanek. Gary Tatum renewed his membership. He's on month 15 now. That's awesome. And Stealth Mode also on month 15. He said, this is an amazing community of like minds. Thank you, Carey. Well, thanks, you guys. And for those Amazon gift cards, another shout out real quick to Mark Gaines, Victor Callender, Shane Perkins, Alan Lindos, Raj D, and Paul O'Brien. Thanks again for supporting the channel and making it possible for me to keep making new content more often. That'll wrap it up for me for today. I will see you all again very, very soon. Obviously, a thank you to all my friends in blue and green, everybody with the gold badge, all of you. Those of you who aren't blue yet, I hope that you become a regular member, that we start to recognize you in the chat. So that's all you have to do to be turned blue. Love to see this community grow with other kind individuals. You don't have to be anything other than nice. As long as you can meet that qualification, you are always welcome here. Thanks for watching. I will see you all tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific time for our best bang for the buck build. I hope you'll join me then. Until then, bye for now.